So, I just watched Fighter, the new cringy pro-Indian government propaganda film directed by Sid Anand, one of the blandest faces in modern day Bollywood action, and it was crazy! Now I want to start off by saying I am Pakistani.
My pledge is to help people who need for people money and all this.
He's going to help the people in Pakistan. Great.
Fighter has been gaining a lot of controversy for its super anti-Pakistan, pro-patriotic messaging and trailer. That trailer was one of the most insulting things ever. This is a very normal thing in India. Make a crappy movie that glazes the Indian government and shits on the small rival country that right-wing and religious people hate, and you get a lot of money. It worked for Gadar 2, it worked for Suryavanshi, it nearly worked for Tiger 3, but that movie ends with Tiger saving the Pakistani PM. Every major patriotic Indian blockbuster has some sort of centrist stance, or a line or two thrown in to say Pakistani people good, Pakistani government bad. That's merely in there because Indian and Pakistani people outside of Pakistan and India get along. I live in England, I have tons of Indian friends and vice versa. I've also met a lot of cool people from India, and I'm glad that there has been some controversy surrounding this from them as well. A lot of Indians are pretty tired of Pakistan being the only bad guy in every single war movie. Now, to all my Pakistanis in England or America or wherever who are confused as to why India always does this, it's 1. Because being right-wing makes a lot of money right now. 2. Because Pakistan has banned tons of Indian media and artists weren't allowed to work there until recently again. And 3. Because their film industry is super historic and busy and rich. They make more money through films and get way more budgeting than a lot of countries, whereas Pakistan isn't really a film country. There's tons of great creatives working in Pakistani cinema. Fawad Khan is a big star. Mola Jat made like $13 million. But that being our biggest movie kinda shows how much bigger Indian films are. I mean, Joyland is like a great super mature movie that was appreciated by people worldwide, and Pakistan didn't even properly claim it because of its LGBT related plot. Pakistan's film board is super strict and they need to loosen up so there can be super creative films that reach more people. But that being said, if Pakistan were as successful as the Indian film industry, they would probably make as much pro-military and pro-government and anti-Indian films. I mean, we literally made a knockoff Top Gun before them. It's just, people don't watch Pakistani movies. So, I'm not as offended by this film as a lot of people are because the Pakistani and Indian government both have this super small dick complex where they both fight each other just to show the other one how much bigger their dick is. It's super childish and corny and works because tons of people from those countries hate each other, but it's also super stupid. And I think that's the best word to use when describing Fighter. Stupid. Fighter is a crazy and stupid movie. It's super dumb and batshit bonkers, and there's scenes that feel like Oppenheimer, but instead of critiquing Oppenheimer, the creators involved with that movie start praising him in his backwards approach. Fighter is comically patriotic. It feels like a propaganda film fresh off of 1940s Germany. It's insultingly offensive and over the top, and that's what makes it so funny and special because I don't think I've ever seen an Indian blockbuster be this hateful in the last 15 years. And honestly, I fuck with it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Woohoo! Look at me! I'm Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick. Ooh! By fighting a bunch of unnamed soldiers for an unnamed country. Woohoo! And all the action in the sky with boring jets. I don't even shoot huge explosives. Wah!
Fuck that shit! J-Hind! Party supremacy! Epic ass BGM blasting in the backgrounds! Testosterone shot into my veins! I love how bonkers and patriotic Fighter is. Not only can you laugh at it a lot, but it also isn't hiding anything from you. Right from the get-go, you know exactly what type of movie it is and get to have fun with your buddies because you know nothing is going to make sense and every character is going to be dumb. I hate when military propaganda is super subtle and hidden and done respectfully because every government is evil and trying to force kids to join the army or marines or whatever to kill a bunch of innocent civilians or other dumb people who were brainwashed into joining is really diabolical. Fighter just shows you a whole bunch of cool shit and crazy shit and super corny caricatures of bad guys that you can't take seriously. It's literally an over-the-top movie, and yes, it's going to manipulate some people, but I hope those people realize that you can't be like Hrithik Roshan, and you're not going to drive a car into the ramp of a building and jump into a helicopter whilst everyone around you explodes, and you then have a dance sequence with Deepika Padukone on a beach. Fighter is a propaganda film which feels like propaganda. It's super insultingly funny, and if you were upset by the trailer, yeah, skip the movie. But if you like seeing clownish military porn, check it out because you're never gonna get another movie like it.
I think it's worth watching, no alcohol required.
Is Fighter a Top Gun ripoff? No, Fighter isn't a copy of Maverick or the first. There's tons of similarities, everyone dresses up like Maverick, there's some inspo in the aerial shots and the way the movie looks. It takes heavy inspiration from the works of Tony Scott and tries to have this very commercially appealing glossy look with an emphasis on specific punchy colours like turquoise and orange, and the character of Patty played by Hrithik Roshan is semi-influenced by Tom Cruise's Maverick. Both are amazing pilots who let their brash personality get to them for the worst, except Patty is a more natural leader than Maverick, and his arc is more so influenced by Maverick's in the second film, but it has enough of a creative spin to be its own thing. Hrithik also gets to let out his emotional side more when playing the character, as Indian blockbusters are naturally more melodramatic than American ones, and therefore he gets the ability to effectively showcase Patty's vulnerability and anger, which he does in a very raw way, which isn't normal for an action blockbuster. The plot is also not very similar to the Top Gun movies. It's way more generic. It's the bland plot of good guys beat bad guys, but it's done in a very chaotically loud and crazy way, which makes it super entertaining to watch. I thought the action was bombastic, and the methods used by Patty, especially in the second half, was super creative. The movie's jets have this arcadey movement to them. It isn't trying to be a realistic movie, and therefore they can pull off way more creative liberties and be more ambitious with the battles. This is probably Sid Anand's best directed film, as he lets his action do the talking for him this time. There isn't as many bland, boring scenes of dumb, quirky dialogue as there is in something like Pathan, and the plot isn't trying to be something big. It's just a standard army movie with fluid video game-like action and protagonists that feel like they're a tight-knit group of friends. That being said, there is still tons of quirky and awkward jokes in the movie. They just have this cringy charm to them, and I think that might be due to how unnaturally patriotic this movie feels. It makes the jokey segments kind of memorable. Patty smiling at everyone and manipulating them like he's Medusa has become a new running gag in my friend group. The emotional manipulation in this movie is also super laughable, as it feels really forced. Deepika Padukone's character Minnie has a solid little arc about her family eventually accepting her, but aside from that, she doesn't leave a lasting impression on the audience and feels like a glorified cameo. She's very forgettable and has just been added so that Patty can have a love interest he can dance with. The CGI is very impressive for a movie reported budget of around $20 to $30 million. The jets look great and so do all the interior jet shots, but there's some very laughable looking explosions of the film that feel like they were screen recorded from a YouTube explosion green screen video. It makes supposedly emotional scenes very hilarious. The surprise highlight of the film for me was the relationship between Patty and Karan Singh Grover's character Taj. Taj feels like the real love interest of the movie. His chemistry with Hrithik is amazing, they both have a lot of history together as friends, and you can definitely tell that by their bizarre interactions together. Grover also plays the character with some whimsy, which makes him very memorable, and when Patty sees Taj in pain, the raw anger he delivers through his stern expressions or deep change of tone is very eye-opening to the audience. It makes them feel like real friends. The movie does a great job at making the group of fighter pilots feel like they have some form of history or togetherness through its montages or dramatic moments. The characters also aren't cliche rivals or anything, they're generally all friendly with one another, which helps this movie stand out from a Top Gun Maverick. In conclusion, Fighter is a solid fighter pilot movie and worthy companion to a Top Gun. It never feels like a clone of what's come before it, but rather a heavily influenced tribute. It's super heavy propaganda, which goes batshit bonkers with the mayhem on screen, but has a compelling enough lead performance and some solid plot points to be a pretty entertaining blockbuster. If you're someone who finds over-the-top patriotic films funny, or just someone that wants a fun movie they can switch their mind off to and watch, then Fighter is a movie for you. From Sid Anand's filmography, it's the most similar to Dara Rumpum, Pathan and Bang Bang. I'd give it a 3 out of 5.